Hello there, class, and welcome to my eccentric academy. My name is Cademan David, or as Matt Smith in a Fez calls me, Mr. Cow. I'll be your professor of all things nerdy and science fiction. Today we're turning our books to the Doctor Who episode, The Big Bang. Now, as you can tell, I'm still stuck in this box. Luckily, Eric doesn't know, but I had a TV remote in my pocket when he put me in this box. But I promise you, by the end of the day, I will find a way out of here. But for now, I have a TV remote and a Doctor Who episode to review. So let's get right into it. The Big Bang, very much a popcorny episode. It's one you just sort of watch, you enjoy, and you don't think about it too much. With this episode here, and the last one as well, I really think Stephen Moffat did a great job at just elevating Doctor Who and making it feel huge. Now, the other one I think more so. The other one felt really cool to me particularly, but this one felt so timey-wimey. I think this episode probably deals with timey-wiminess more than any other episode of Doctor Who. And it's mostly really fun. I really enjoyed this episode. With that being said, let's get right into it with my plot synopsis. So the Big Bang starts, the episode starts, very cool. It starts with the beginning of the first episode of this season with young Amy Pond praying to Santa Claus, asking him for help about a crack in her wall. But this time, the Doctor doesn't show up like he did the first time. But instead, we see the stars start going out. Now, this is a plot point that was kind of used in the Tennant era as well. I don't necessarily think that's a good or bad thing. I think using these sort of repetitive story beats can sometimes be good, can sometimes be bad, but here it's neither of those things. I just wanted to point out that this is something that has happened previously in an episode of Doctor Who. Now, basically we follow young Amy as she's led to a museum, and she's led to the Pandorica by a time-traveling doctor. The Pandorica opens up, and inside of it, instead of the Doctor, is old Amy Pond. And then we get the title sequence. Now, after that title sequence, we see Rory holding Amy's dying body. And he's sort of talking to her, being sad that she's dead, when Matt Smith, with a vortex manipulator, a fez, and a mop shows up to him, gives him his sonic screwdriver, and says to give it to Amy, who's gonna take the Doctor's place inside the Pandorica. Rory decides to guard the Pandorica as the Doctor goes to the future. A bunch of time travel shenanigans pursue, with the Doctor moving back and forth through the time stream. We see him get the fez, we see him get the mop, we see him go back and do all the things that we already saw him do. And Rory shows up still guarding the Pandorica, and after a little bit of a death fake out where they imply that maybe Rory died, he shows up still guarding the Pandorica, but now as someone who works at this museum, I guess. Now the three friends go and they hear and see the explosion of the TARDIS. They hear River's song inside of it. The Doctor goes and pulls her out when she seems to be stuck in something of a time loop. Then the Doctor uses the Pandorica to save reality from ending due to the TARDIS exploding, and he rewinds back through his life as he seems to cease to exist, but then is brought back by Amy remembering him at wedding. That seems to be the case. It's kind of confusing. I did really like this episode, but how the Doctor came back was a little silly, I thought. Anyway, moving on from what I liked and disliked about this episode, we'll move on to what I liked and disliked about this episode, in the portion of the video that I like to call what I liked and disliked about this episode. You don't know how funny I think that bit was. Okay, real quick, right off the bats? Batman? Bat? Real quick, right off the bat, the first thing I have is not +1 points, not +2 points, but +3 points, and that's for the last episode taking place at the same time as the first episode. This is very reminiscent to me of All Good Things from Star Trek Next Generation, where the finale of Star Trek Next Generation, they go back to the first episode. And I always think it's neat when shows do something like that, where it really just makes it feel like sort of poetry. The end rhymes with the beginning, sort of thing. I think it's a pretty cool storytelling technique, and I liked it here a lot. Now next up I have +1 point for Amy meeting Amy, and their interactions I thought were pretty fun. +1 point for the little gag where the Joker was... The Joker? Man, I have Batman on my brain apparently. And +1 point for the gag where the Doctor says,
well, she is dead, but it's not the end of the world. Well, it is the end of the world. Actually, it's the end of the universe. Oh, no, hang on.
Very funny. I liked it. I laughed at that. Rory punching the Doctor, also very funny. I laughed at that. So, yeah, I didn't necessarily like how the Doctor was, like, trying to manipulate Rory into punching him. That seemed a little out of character, which this Doctor does have some character traits I don't necessarily like for the Doctor, but we'll get to that more later. For now, what we're talking about is Rory guarding the Pandorica with his line, "This box needs a guardian." Wait a minute, does this box have a guardian? Next up, I've just enjoyed the Doctor going back and forth, doing the things that we saw him do in the past, in the future. Next up, +3 points for the Doctor sacrificing himself. All I could think of was, like, just sort of connections that could be made between the Doctor here and him going into a box to sacrifice himself with, of course, I'm a Christian, as you may or may not know, so in my head I just made a connection between the Doctor doing that to save the universe to Jesus going on a cross to save the universe. And I liked that. I think for how the show treats the Doctor as being, like, a very good person and, like, sometimes godlike, I think him sacrificing himself is where he lives up to that the most. And again, in my dislikes, we'll get to some character traits of this Doctor that doesn't connect with me. This good being the Doctor is supposed to be, it doesn't work for me. But we'll get to that when we get to it.
Rule 1, the Doctor lies.
+1 point for the rewind. We see bits from previous episodes, which I enjoyed. And, of course, we have the scene in the Weeping Angel episode where he goes and talks to Amy, which I have down here +2 points for the blazer thing again. I think I shouted that out as something I liked when I was reviewing that Angels episode, sorry, back when I was still doing it on my animation YouTube channel, but now we're here, and I'm sort of having a rewind moment, like the Doctor was at this part. Wait a minute. Rewind? Next up, we have a plus a half point. It doesn't quite earn 1 whole point, but it was a chuckle from me, and that's after the universe is reset, Amy's talking to Rory on the phone, and she says, like,
Hello!
Do you feel like you've forgotten something really important? Do you feel like there's a great big thing in your head and you feel like you should remember it, but you can't?
Yeah.
Or are you just saying yes because you're scared of me?
Yep.
Next up, a half point for the Doctor dancing. I think there's something in Stephen Moffat's brain, just where, like, he loves the idea of the Doctor dancing for some reason. So much so, one of his first episodes he wrote was titled The Doctor Dances. So, I don't know, there's some weird connection there with him always referencing the Doctor dancing. Which, by the way, I just watched The Girl in the Fireplace, which was like the second episode he wrote. And there again, he references the Doctor dancing. So I don't know what Stephen Moffat's fascination with making the Doctor dances, but yeah, the Doctor was dancing here, and River's song talked about it very prominently. So there's some weird connection there. I know it.
Did you dance? Well, you always dance at weddings, don't you?
You tell me.
Stephen Moffat, if you're watching this video, please let me know why you're so fascinated with the Doctor dancing. If it's some sort of inside joke or whatever, just give us the inside scoop, Stephen. How cool would it be if Stephen Moffat actually responded to this? Next up, I have another joke that's like silly and stupid, but it makes me laugh. And that's just River's song and the Doctor talking. And he's like, are you married? And that's this scene right here. I'll just play it for you.
Are you married, River?
Are you asking?
Yes.
Yes.
No, hang on. Did you think I was asking you to marry me, or asking if you were married?
Yes.
No, but was that yes or yes?
Yes.
River.
It makes me laugh. With that being said, we're moving on to the bad of this episode. The ugly, the nasty, the parts I don't like, the parts I don't want to see, the parts that I'd like to pretend don't exist in this episode. But they do exist, and it really sucks. So this is, I'm going to give a minus half point for this first one, just because it's kind of weird that, like, the 3 people who aren't affected by the universe ending in this episode is our 3 main characters. Of course, Rory, the Doctor, and Amy. But maybe it's because, like, the Doctor was in the Pandorica, and then, like, Rory was close to the Pandorica, but then everyone else was already affected. I don't know. If there's something I missed, leave it in the comments below. I would love to hear it. But as far as I know, I wasn't missing anything. They just weren't affected because the plot. So for now, I'm going to give it a minus half point for that. It's not even that big of a deal. It's just a little coincidence I noticed that I wanted to call out. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and say negative 3 points for this because it's a big deal for me. I've been alluding to this all throughout this video, but that's this idea that the Doctor lies. The Doctor is a liar. I don't like that. I don't mind the idea that the Doctor would be a liar, as long as that's not presented as a good thing. But in this episode, they seem to make it where the right thing to do is lying. And I adamantly believe that the right thing to do is never lying. So, with that being said, I think I like the idea of the Doctor, sometimes lying and being manipulative, but these episodes make it out to where he's right for lying and being manipulative, where I think that we should kind of want to call out the Doctor for lying and being manipulative, because that's bad. Next up, I have another -+3, just because it's so awkward and I hate it. That's Amy trying to kiss the Doctor again.
You absolutely, definitely may kiss the bride.
Amelia, from now on I shall be leaving the kissing duties to the brand new Mr. Pond.
On her wedding, when the Doctor shows up. Very awkward, very weird, the fact that she did that right in front of her now husband, who she just married. It's just so weird. I really don't think it was good for Amy's character. I talked about this again in the Weeping Angel episode. I'm gonna link that one in the description because I've mentioned it enough times. But anyway, in the episode I talk about, the other Amy Doctor kissing scene and how I don't think it's good for Amy's character. And the same applies here. It's just, I don't know. It's awkward and weird. I don't know why Stephen Moffat wrote it. Again, Stephen Moffat, explain yourself if you're watching. So, that's all my likes and dislikes. That's it. We're done here. But wait, we forgot the most important part of this video. And that is the moral of the story. And the moral I want to take away from this episode is devotion. Devote yourself and be willing to sacrifice. I talked about the Doctor's great sacrifice in this episode and how it sort of reminds me of Jesus' sacrifice for our sins, but also in Rory being devoted to Amy and by guarding the Pandorica all those years, even though it put himself in danger. I think with that being said, a lot of times you think, oh, I don't want to commit, I don't want to devote, I don't want to sacrifice. But then, if you aren't willing to sacrifice, you sacrifice something very meaningful. And that's something like the ability to have a purpose that is greater than just you. I would encourage everyone who's watching this to think about, what am I devoted to that's not just me? That's not just making my life good. What's more important than me? For me, it's my relationship with Jesus Christ. For those of you who aren't religious, you might be rolling your eyes at me, but that's a big deal for me, as it should be for everyone. I really believe that. But if you're not in that place, of course, be devoted to your community and be devoted to your family. Those are also good things. However, without Christ, at the end of the day, life will always end up meaningless. But I also understand that everyone is on their own journey. Now, with that being said, that will be the end of our review. But I've finally figured out how to escape this box. And it is right here on this remote control, and that is the rewind button. Ooh! Whew. Our students are messy. I can see why you needed my help, Charles. It's a good thing we have this Dalek arm. Oh, hi! I just rewinded back into my previous life, aka your life, and you need to make this remote and make sure you have it when you open your brother's package. Okay, bye! one last thing. Charles, you're plastic. Do you want to be my Rory and guard my box? So you see, I created this remote and put it in here so I could go back and create this remote and put it in here. And I know that Eric would never expect that I would do that. But how does that help me, you think? That just rewinds and creates a weird paradox that we all hate, but Stephen Moffat would love. But I put another button on this remote besides the rewind button, and that is the eject button. Hey, it worked! Thank you, Charles, for being my Rory. You're the best. Hit the subscribe button and leave a comment talking about your favorite things in this episode. And click on one of those playlists. If you click on them, I'll give you all an A+, so you can graduate from my eccentric academy. Thank you, you're the best. God be with you all.